Hi, I am Chia Gonzo Vane, author of The Illiterate Daughter. We're celebrating Hmong American Day, and I would like to share my book with you. I would like to read the first chapter for you. I have an accent, so you need to follow along and pay attention so that you can understand me. And thank you in advance for watching this video. I appreciate your support. All right, chapter one. May 1974. The sun roasted me, and my sweat stained, ragged black clothes clung and itched as I hauled weeks in my family's rice field. Two blisters had popped on my dirty palms, and the raw skin hurt. The cramping pain in my back and hands surged with each slam and drag of my hoe. I dropped the hole, straightened, and groaned. I longed to be in a classroom. If the foolish war stopped, I could escape my family's back-breaking labor. I dreamed of learning stories about the universe, magic, demons, prince and princess. As usual, my musing eased my pain. A crow called and snapped me out of my daydreams. I looked for mother and caught sight of her across the field. She had assigned each of us a strip of field, and I had fallen far behind her. I had needed the break, but my mother's scolds frightened me. I scanned for father and my sister, Doug. They had been more than halfway to the top of the hill and the end of the field, but now were nowhere in sight. Neither was Doug's boyfriend, Payne. Doug and Payne had been hoeing side by side ahead of my parents. Weeding was intense work, and Payne had helped Doug for 3 days in a row. Where were they? As I scanned the woods beyond the field, something swished near me. A bullet? I jumped back, heart racing. Instead of a bullet, a black crow landed on my shoulder. Its flutter tickled my cheek. I froze in shock. Then its sharp claws loosened their grip, and the crow flew away as fast as it had come. My pounding heart slowed, then sank with new fear. The elders say that wild birds entering the home or landing on people were bad omens. What did this mean for me and my family? Tree stumps scattered the field. Why had the crow chosen to land on me instead of one of them? I might not be the best worker or a perfect daughter, but I hadn't done anything bad. I shivered despite the heat, and suddenly my knees gave way. I slumped on the dirt, head spinning. Up ahead, father limped out of the woods, headed in my direction. His right leg was shorter than the left, a result of the gunshot wound that ended his fighting with the Americans. Occasionally, the old injury will swell, and he will have to walk with a stick. The war had made it life hard for everyone. Dangling at father's side was a Baron machete in a wooden case, fastened at his waist with a tied rope. His secret document was hidden inside the knife's bamboo handle, so he carried the knife everywhere. As he drew near, father said, "Nu, you look pale. Are you all right?" If I told father about the crow, he will tell mother, and she will become frightened. Mother worried about everything. Yes, I took a deep breath to steady the quiver in my voice. My back hurts, so I'm taking a short break. Don't take too long. Your mother will not be happy. Father started across the field toward mother. He worked hard despite his short leg and never complained. Both my parents were far ahead of me on their work. Father, I called. Do you think the communists will find our village? I hope not, he replied without turning. Since the departure of the American bombing crew, adults had whispered among themselves about the communists invading villages. What was our chance of winning the war without the Americans? Losing the war would mean torture and enslavement instead of school. Anxious dread settled in my belly. I prayed it softly. My honorable grandfather and ancestors, please protect us and our village from the communist Batelao. Protect our soldiers so that we win the war. No, get to work, Mother yelled. Stop daydreaming, you are so behind. I'm just taking a short break, I called back. You take too many breaks. Work harder to get your area weeded. Anger burst inside me, and my sharp tongue slipped into disrespect and disobedience. How come you don't make the boys work? Why do they get to stay home? It's not fair. You are good at complaining. Mother scowled and strode toward me. She had told me that she yelled because she loved me, but her anger frightened me. Slowly I stood, picked up the hoe, and returned it to my work. When I was young, she spanked me for not completing my tasks. I was her naughtiest child. I tried to behave better, and as I grew older, she mostly scolded. No, you rushed through this. She pointed toward my toes, where a cluster of weeds lay covered in dirt. Go back and get every weed out. There were too many weeds. What she wanted was impossible, but I wouldn't win by arguing and wouldn't show more disrespect. I signed loudly. All right. Do it right the first time or do it over. Mother shook her head. You have a lot to learn, my daughter. You need to work hard like your sister. Skills are important for your life. Stories and books are not, so don't waste your time daydreaming. I flared my nostrils in anger. It was true I daydreamed, but I hated when Mother compared me to Doe, who was patient, reliable, and obedient. Comparing and scolding were meant to make me work harder, but they drained my enthusiasm and energy. They lowered my self esteem because I would never be like my sister. I was born different. My dreams, my dreams were full of folklore and curiosity about the universe, not physical work. I hated myself for my lack of motivation to be a hard worker and a perfect daughter. I hated the war and I hated my sister and mother for refusing to help me. How could I be self sufficient if they didn't have the patience to teach me? Get to work, Mother, petite but strong, walked steadily back to her area. Mother, is Dirt taking a break? I asked. Yes. Why aren't you yelling at them? Ping and Dirt got a lot done, Mother shouted over her shoulder. I bit my lip. Before Dove began dating Ping, she and I worked together, supporting and helping each other. Dove's assistance had declined since, and her excuse was that I had to learn to be independent. Now she ignored me because of her annoying boyfriend who came around whenever he wanted. Proper courting took place in the evening, but Payne wanted to show off his skills to impress my parents. His help was changing Doug, making her lazy and undependable. If he wasn't present, Doug would have checked on me and asked how I was doing. I dropped the hole and headed to the nearby trees. Ping and Doug sat on shoulder to shoulder in the shade, their hands entwined. Wing saw through the branches. Ping turned to Doug and kissed her cheek. Disgusted, I shouted, Don't do that to my sister. Ping shot me a worried glance. I love your sister. A kiss is all right. You can ask her. I looked down, regretting my sharp, loud voice. Those dimples appeared on her thin, fair-skinned face. She kissed Peng on the cheek. Someday you will know what love is. How dare she shame the family by kissing a man in front of others? I clapped my hand over my mouth to suppress a scolding. I couldn't scold her because there had been my second mother since our twin brothers were born, and I relied on her for everything. Wasn't she ashamed of herself? Our parents had high expectations for her, a perfect daughter. Maybe she wasn't perfect after all. I flicked a glance at Payne. Heat flashed my body. Disrespecting a guest was shameful, so I took a deep breath and walked away, head low and shoulders slumped. Those and the crow's strange behaviors fueled my stress. I wished to remain a child and be a son so I will have freedom like my brothers. Nearing the weeding area, I stretched my back and scanned the rich, green, knee high rice plants that stretched across the rolling hills and swayed in the breeze. In the far off fields, other villagers bent over patches of land, tending to their livelihoods. It was now May, the month my sister and I were born. The crops and harvesting seasons helped me to know where we were in time. 13 summers had passed since I came into the world. My family had been fleeing war since I was 7. 3 summers ago, father gave me 2 Liujian books and promised me I could go to school when we won the war. I yearned for school. Mid-afternoon, my family stopped weeding. Ping picked his way carefully around the rice plants to father, who lingered nearby. They shook hands. Thank you for your help again today, father said in a bubbly voice. Ping's mouth curved into a smile. The dirt that encrusted his face made him look older than 18. His black, white leg trousers and black shirt were stained with mud. It was my pleasure. Thanks for allowing me to be with Doug, Peng said. It's hard work. If you don't mind, you're welcome to come every day. I will be back tomorrow, Peng replied. Peng didn't mind the hard work because he got to kiss Doug. Who wouldn't want to be with a beautiful girl like Doug? I was happy to see him go. Later in the vegetable patch, Doug and I picked gai choy. A cool breeze brushed my long face and tousled a strand of hair into my eyes. Doug dropped a handful of gai choy in the rotten basket and stood. Get up. I want to fix your hair for the evening chores. I don't want your hair in our food. I brushed dirt off my black trousers, tightened the red and green sashes around my waist, and stood with my back to Doug. She removed a metal barrette clip, and my long hair fell on my shoulders. My sister gathered the loose strands and started braiding. Having Doug by my side, my back pain and the crow faded from my mind. I love your silky hair and big round eyes. Doug's voice was soft and gentle. You just said that to make me feel better. Soften your voice, she said. I want to tell you a secret. A secret? You can't tell anyone, especially our parents. They quickly wove my hair and clipped it with the barrette. Then she untied a small black drawstring bag that dangled from her red sash. She took out a beautiful silver ring in the shape of a kite elaborated with small triangles. What kind of ring is that? Is this? I asked. It's called Pligomblia. The name meant grasshopper, but the ring didn't look like grasshopper. How did you get it? Payne gave me the ring. It is his promised gift to me. Joy filled her voice. Although we have been dating for only 3 months, it was love at first sight. We're going to get married soon. My heart almost jumped out of my chest. No, don't leave me. Quiet, they whispered. Why do you always talk so loud? I don't want mother and father to hear us. I softened my voice. Why? I don't want our parents to know about this. Her voice was quiet but rough. It's embarrassing. They will find out when I'm at Payne's home and his family notifies them that Payne and I are married. I'm sharing the news with you in advance because you are my sister and my best friend. I recalled my friend Mining saying that her sister had married in secrecy. Her brother in law took her sister to his home one night. The marriage was announced after her parents were notified. This was a tradition that the majority of couples practiced. It was nice of her to share her secret, but her news weighed heavily. I sank to the weeds. Doe sat with me shoulder to shoulder. I'm only getting married, nothing to worry about, she said. I'm going to miss you, and I wouldn't have free time to listen to Auntie short stories anymore, I cried. And I can't cook. Mother will scold me more. You haven't learned to soften your voice. Try harder. I scowled. Mother can tell you her stories, Doe said. I've heard all her stories. I grasped Doe's hands. You are only 16. You should wait until you're older. It's love. Bing and I are ready to get married. I knew there was no way I could convince her to wait. Suddenly cold, I hugged my knees and imagined the misery I would face, burdened with all the chores and without her help. And the loneliness, my chest heaved in sadness. After a long silence, I drew a deep breath. I steadied my voice and said, When are you leaving? In 2 days, because that's the auspicious date Ping's father wants us to lead to have. Don't tell anyone and ruin my marriage. I won't, I whispered. The prettiest girl and the handsomest boy in the village were getting married, and I was losing my sister. I hoped the crow had come to warn me of that loss. I hoped there wasn't more bad luck. Again, thank you for watching and you know listening to my reading to you.